This kind of shows you the psychological aspect of innovators, in the sense that this is a graph that shows you how people from different perspectives value or place importance on features. So if you look at, let's take the example of environmentally friendly cars, right? Hybrid cars. I mean, the environment, the importance of the environment. If you are a developer of environmentally friendly hybrid cars or electrical vehicles, of course, I mean, these are people that are believers. These are people that have self-selected themselves to engage in this business. Their heart is into this. That's all that they do on a daily basis. And they try to perfect their product. So these are believers. These are people that have self-selected themselves into this domain. Therefore, the importance of an environmentally friendly car, I mean, it is out there. These are extreme believers. So a typical innovator would lie somewhere on the far right-hand tail of this, of this distribution. Whereas, a typical consumer, some may hold, high value on environmentally friendly cars, whereas others may, and some others may be somewhere in the middle. So a typical consumer will probably most likely fall somewhere in the middle. So as you can see, there's a gap between, the importance of certain features that may be included in new products. Typically, the innovator or the new product developer will have a very high, they'll place a very high importance on these features that are included in new products, whereas consumers may not necessarily do so. Another example, or another way of explaining why these two, the consumers and the producers or the new product developers, may not be on the same page is that there's a clash in perspective. In other words, consumers overweigh the incumbent, the existing product's benefit by a factor of 3. Whereas companies overweigh the new product's benefits by a factor of 3. So the reference point, the point of comparison for consumers is typically the product they're currently using. That's the reference point from which they're going to compare and evaluate their new product. So they're going to overweigh the incumbent, the existing product's benefit by a factor of 3, whereas for developers and new product developers in the company, their reference point is not necessarily the old product, but it's the new product, because that's a product they're currently working on. So they're going to overweigh, the new product's benefit by a factor of 3, and therefore 3 times 3, we get a multiple of 9. So the gap between customers and developers can be, 9 times, which is a lot. So we need to find ways to reduce this gap between the world of consumers, how they view new products, and developers in terms of how they view new products. Which brings us to this framework where if a new product is likely to succeed, as you can see in this 2x2 matrix here, we have 4 different combinations depending on whether the product change involved compared to the old product is low versus high, and whether the behavioral change required to use the new product compared to the old product is low or high. So strikeout, an example of products that would fall under the category strikeout is where the new product compared to the old product does not necessarily have that many new features, right? The relative advantage is not necessarily that high, but for some reason it requires a lot of behavioral change on the part of customers. And, a lot of the time customers, or human beings in general for that matter, being a creature of habit, do not necessarily like behavioral change. And compounding that effect is when the new product involves very little new benefits. So that's why we call it a strikeout. It has very little chance of being successful in the market. Whereas the long haul is when they're both high, in the sense that the new product compared to the old product includes a lot of new features and benefits. But at the same time, it requires a significant amount of behavioral change on the part of customers. And this time, customers may put up with it because although it requires a lot of behavioral change, it makes up for it because the new product has a lot of new features that the old product did not have. So they're willing to put up with it. Whereas home run is the ideal scenario. This is the best scenario where the new product has a lot of, significant innovative features compared to the existing product, but it requires very little behavioral change. In other words, using our Accord model, going back to our Accord model, the 6 factors that facilitate new product adoption, is very compatible. It's easy to use. It does not require people to unlearn and relearn the new product in order to use it effectively. So that's what we call it, a home run. And then obviously we have tinkering when both are low. So again, just like strikeout, that has a very slim chance of being successful in the market.